So MVP, he's in the news. By the way, before we get into this story, I just want to say this story may sound like creative control, but we're not going to say creative control. We're not going to talk about creative control because we don't need Sean Ross Sapp in our DMs threatening to fight us and calling us a pussy. So we're not going to say creative control, but it walks and talks like creative control. So MVP, and this story broke, I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. So MVP is dealing with some backstage heat in AEW due to his role with the Hurt Syndicate. Now, if you remember, the Hurt Syndicate is Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin.
In MJF.
Well, he's not in it anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, he's out. So we first got this story from J Cup 2013. That's his Twitter handle. Obviously, that's not his real name. But he said that it doesn't appear that there's a direct issue with Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin, but many backstage claim MVP openly disliked Speedball Mike Bailey and didn't want the
Who
Hurt
doesn't?
business. I know, right? But he didn't want the Hurt business, this being MVP, to lose the tag team titles to Jet Speed.
I don't even know who that is.
So that's Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight.
So if he's openly disliking one of the dudes, yeah, that would make sense that he wouldn't want to lose to his stupid team.
That is true. See, that's already the problem. Like, why is he even in the position to say, oh, we're not losing to them?
Because he saw Miro do it and get paid for it.
I don't know. Sounds like he has some power to be able to say no.
Well, yeah, they all have the power to say no. Tony Khan's not going to force people to do anything. He's just going to passive aggressively punish them.
Or put out stories like this.
Yeah.
And it's funny, so we never got the direct reason why MVP doesn't like Mike Bailey. I saw something where they were saying, like, when MVP got there, he was playing video games and then greets MVP.
Oh, that's all it takes?
That's what he says.
That's it? I see. I would think MVP would have some thicker skin than that.
Well, I also saw stories, and this is where it's going to get kind of funny. Do you know Mike Bailey?
Yeah, he's the one that looks like Hong Kong Phooey.
Yes. So there were stories that MVP didn't find it believable that Jet Speed could beat the Hurt Syndicate. And more importantly, it is not believable that Bobby Lashley would lose to Mike Bailey. Would you believe this actually created a debate on whether or not Mike Bailey could actually take Bobby Lashley?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Now, you see, Mike Bailey, I believe, has a black belt or something.
Okay.
So people
doesn't Lashley?
I don't think he has any kind of karate belt, but he was in the MMA. And I'm like, is this a real argument? People actually think Mike Bailey, with his little YMCA degree, his little YMCA black belt, like Martin said, if you're fighting the village people, I get that, but you're fighting a real man here. The real question you should be asking is, could he last more than a minute?
Right.
In a real fight.
Can you convince Bobby Lashley to let you survive?
Yeah. Can he get any offense in, like actual offense? Not just like defending yourself, but slow him down a little bit. That kind of offense. But yeah, it was just ridiculous that people were actually like, no, but he's a black belt. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that is pretty silly.
Not to mention with, at some point, no matter how trained you are, big beats little. And Bobby Lashley is trained because he was in the MMA.
I think he'd fold Mike Bailey up like a pretzel.
It wouldn't be pretty. And it wouldn't be long either.
He's somebody that, like, if he fought Brock, I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of my what if moments. Like, what if they, in a real wrestling ring? I don't know. Because if it's just based off of looks, that Bob Sapp guy would have never lost. Or Kimbo Slice would have never lost.
Yeah, but they both prove that they're legit, at least in the competitive MMA stuff. I don't know. Brock has the intensity. Lashley just seems like the nicest dude in the world that you just don't want to piss off.
Yeah, and he's military trained.
Oh, yeah.
It would not end well for Mike Bailey.
No.
Back to the story, though. While there were no plans for the Hurt Business to lose to Jet Speed, The group have pitched including a possible FTR redemption story starting at AEW All In Texas. MVP reportedly also rejected that as he didn't think the Hurt Business should lose to FTR at either Forbidden Door or All In. So there's another shot down there. And he preferred that the group lose to a younger team like the Outrunners, Gates of Agony, or Private Party, who they've beaten, and beaten. So they've already ran through that team. But since the Hurt Syndicate had already beaten all those teams, many people backstage didn't take the suggestion. The faction was willing also to lose to Will Ospreay and Sir Strickland, but Will Ospreay is hurt, so that was off the table.
But only Swerve Strickland can pin him.
Of course. Oh, wait a minute.
For reasons.
Well, the Outrunners, they're white. Gates of Agony, they're Samoan. Private Party's black. Several backstage believe that the Hurt Syndicate comes off more like fan favorites, heels that do cool moves, beat up everybody, and gives the fans a high five on the way out.
Well, yeah.
The faction was they were recently involved in a story with MJF. It was hinted that it was meant to continue for longer than it did. However, reports mentioned there's no real tension between them. Despite the reported backstage heat, the Hurt Syndicate isn't expected to leave AEW anytime soon. Many people backstage have downplayed the rumors, saying that the overall mood has been positive. I don't know why that's relevant. In fact, several sources have called 2025 one of the best years for the locker room morale in a long time. But yes, that sounds an awful lot like Creative Control. But we're not going to call it that, of course. And yeah, maybe, like you said, it's just Tony Khan is a pushover. So, hey, do you think you can lose the title to... No, I'm not going to do that. Oh, okay. What about FTR? Huh? What about FTR? No, we're not going to do that either.
I can just see Tony approaching their locker room and Lashley opens the door, not wearing a shirt and just jeans.
And of course, he's got to look him down.
Of course.
And also, Bobby's like 6'5", and Mike Bailey is like 5'6". Yeah, that's another thing.
That should have been the story. Shit.
Yeah. Fans are trying to get Mike Bailey killed. Like, you can't actually believe this. But yeah, that is the story. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, they do seem to be downplaying it. I don't think it's too big of a deal. There was reports that maybe MVP was going to get kicked out of the Hurt Business and taken off TV because of the heat. But they seem to have already squashed it. Now, they squashed the beef, but it still doesn't take away the fact that he doesn't want to lose to, the group. So that might still very much be true. I don't know. First of all, the 50-50 booking in AEW, they need to get past that part anyway. The Hurt Business is one of the better groups in the company right now, the most legitimate group. So, yes, they should be on a dominant winning streak. Why are you even talking about them losing right now? To Jet Speed of all people? Like, get out of here.
Well, I thought Mike Bailey was like one of the super gets.
He was
Wasn't he like one of the hottest free agents, and Tony Khan snatched him from WWE?
Yeah.
Another win for TK.
Yeah, Triple H was crying because he lost.
Yeah, he called and begged Tony not to sign him. Please.
Yeah.
I need to enjoy the show.
Which, yeah, would never been a good thing for him to be over in WWE. I hadn't seen him, but then I saw him. I was like, seriously?
Right. That?
Yeah, this is what like we're on about.
The dude with the fucking Walmart greeter helmet.
Oh. Josh Alexander.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's a big get too. Okay. Where's he at?
I think he's with the Callis family right now, but yes, he's not doing anything.
Which goes to my point earlier, like they do the initial signing and the initial splash, but then after that, they don't have shit for him.
Yeah, because Tony gets a new toy and then he puts the old toy in the toy box and he moves on to the next one. Unless you're one of your flippy toys like Will Ospreay. And that's what I'm saying. Mike Bailey fits right into that whole someone he'd want to push because he's a flippy guy and he's small stature. And that's what Tony Khan likes. So